So it was in 2012 that this spunky, brash, drama-laden young woman showed up at this center, bringing her beautiful little boy with her, telling me that she had just moved here from Houston, Texas, where her Unity minister encouraged her to come check out our center. She had a lot of energy, and she had a lot of possibilities in her life. And so since 2012, this one has moved away. She's moved to California, specifically with the intention of going to ministerial school. And in December, Kristen Ashley Moore will complete her ministerial education, will take her oral panels, and will be licensed as a minister in our movement. Yes, it's the same woman. She's come a long way. You have come a long way. And when we heard that she was coming to Asheville to be with family, it seemed very appropriate that she come and bring us her message today. So, Kristen, we love you. We're so happy that you're here. Come on up and teach us.
I'll put that over here. Hello. So it's funny, I finished my ministerial classes on Monday of last week. And now I have panels and exams ahead of me. So I have a few more months, but it's amazing what all of a sudden not taking classes after 2 years of full-time classes will do for your introspection levels. And so when I was in prayer about what I should speak about today, what kept coming up was a life worth living. You're living a life worth living. A life worth living. And I was like, okay, well, I don't know what I'm going to say about that, but that's obviously what I need to talk about. And it's super up for me. And a lot of people ask the question, is life worth living? And that is a valid question, and it's not one that I've asked. I've always kind of assumed that it was, and that I needed to figure out how. And so my question is, how do I make my life a life worth living? Because that's what we're here for. Ernest Holmes, our founder, says, the universe must exist for the glory of God, in a sense, but really for the self-expression of God and the delight of God. That's what we are. We are the self-expression of God, and we are the delight of God. You and I are born out of it, and we are born out of a divine urge that creates. And so that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing when we do anything, is we're creating that life worth living. So I did. I moved here in 2012 with my son. I moved to family, and really, I moved to the center. I didn't know at the time. That wasn't my intention, but that's what I was doing, is I was moving here. And I became licensed as a practitioner. And most people, when they decide to go to ministerial school, they find the one that's geographically closest to them, and they go to that school. But I didn't do that. I interviewed every single campus across the country, and I picked the one I wanted to go to, and then I moved there. And so in 2018, I packed my bags with not nearly as much of a plan as you would expect to move 3,000 miles away. And I went, and everything just kind of fell into place. That's actually a whole other talk. And I've been going to school, and when I tell people this story of moving across the country and just packing my bags and trusting the universe and knowing that it's all going to work out and God's got my back and all of this stuff, what I hear is, oh, you're so brave. You're so brave. And what I want to tell people is, well, yes, I am, but so are you. And the very act of showing up and living your life, whatever that looks like for you, is your own form of bravery. It's your own form of showing up into your own life in a way that makes it worth living. And it looks different for each and every one of us. But that doesn't make it less a life worth living than any other life. And so what we do, every single action, every single moment, no matter how mundane, is still showing up and saying, my life is worth living. My life is worth living, and I'm going to do what I need to do to make it that. There's a quote. For the meaning of life differs from person to person, from day to day, and from hour to hour. What matters, therefore, is not the meaning of life in general, but rather the specific meaning of life, of a person's life at any given moment. And so I was thinking about this topic. It was still rolling around in my head yesterday as we were flying here, as I was turning up my headphones with Finding Nemo, trying to drown out the crying baby on the airplane. And that is my life worth living. That little moment right there is still God showing up and expressing through and as me, and through and as that baby, and through and as Finding Nemo, and every single other person on that airplane. We're all showing up and we're living our lives that are worth living, and we're coming together and we're figuring out what that looks like together and individually and collectively, and it's just so beautiful and profound. And we forget when there's crying babies and there's bills to be paid and there's a global pandemic going on and civil unrest and, politics, just politics, whatever you say about that, we forget. But each and every one of those moments, each and every one of those things is still God showing up, expressing in and through and as each and every thought and action and decision and creation that we make together. And so the question is not, what is the meaning of my life? The question is, how am I making this moment meaningful in my life? Because my life is meaningful. And we are each showing up and expressing that purpose that is ours to do. We can't not. It's impossible. We're already doing it. Just by living your life, you are expressing your purpose. And so you can get clearer about what that is, and I invite you to do that with all of the many tools that are offered here, especially John's value process that I still do to myself every 6 months to a year. And we can get clear on that, but the fact of the matter is that we are living our purpose. We are living a life that is worth living. I have especially, on top of introspection that comes with the end of ministerial school, when I started on this process, this is not the world that I thought I would be graduating into. I didn't have our graduation. It was canceled. It was back in June. I got a tattoo instead. And they opened tattoo parlors up for 1 week. Got my hair done, got a tattoo, shut everything back down. But it's not the world that I thought that I was going to be graduating into. I had a whole plan. I had where I was going to go. I had it all lined up. And none of those things are going to happen. This isn't the church that we used to have. This isn't the way that we used to show up. And we're all a little bit wrong-footed. I think we can all agree that at some moment, even if you have it all figured out now, and great job if you do, I do not, but at some moment, there's been a moment where this experience of how we're showing up in our world has wrong-footed us. And so as I've been looking at, okay, what is my ministry going to look like now? Because it's not going to look like what I thought it was going to look like when I entered ministerial school. And even if this global pandemic hadn't have happened, it still wasn't going to look like what I thought it was going to look like when I entered ministerial school, because I am a whole kind of different person than I was 2 years ago, or 5 years ago, or 8 years ago, or yesterday. And what I figured out is, you know what, this is what's happening. It's what's happening, and we can agree with it, we can disagree with it, we can be mad about it, or we can show up and we can say, how am I gonna show up? How am I gonna make my life a life worth living regardless of what y'all are doing out there? And so one of the things that I've done is I've gotten off Facebook. And I was a big scroller because even though I choose not to engage in drama in my own life, I still like to enjoy looking at other people's drama every once in a while. But I noticed it wasn't really serving me. And so for the month of August, I would go and look at my memories on Facebook because those are always fun, and my son's always little and adorable. He's 13, he's still adorable, but he's not little. And, I'll do that, but I won't scroll. I no longer scroll Facebook. And boy, howdy, my whole life changed. Like literally just not buying in to people's stories on Facebook changed my life. And what I noticed is that I couldn't just show up and watch your drama from over there. I had to get involved. I'm sorry, you said what about what? I got something to say about that. Let me comment. Or you posted that article, or did you know that's fake news, or whatever opinion I had, I wasn't able to just watch the drama from over there. And that's the reality. We can't just watch the drama from over there. If we're choosing to watch, we're choosing to engage, and we're buying into that drama triangle. And so I got off Facebook. And what I started thinking about is, I have a life worth living, and I am living my purpose. And so now I get to look at every single thing that I'm doing in my life. Is this contributing to the life that I want to have, the life that is worth living? And so I made the agreement with myself that I'd get off Facebook in August, and September 1st rolled around, and I was like, happy scrolling. And then September 1st kind of sucked. And I was like, oh, never mind. I can't do this anymore. This doesn't serve me. This isn't what I choose to engage in. This isn't the way that I choose for the universe to exist in all its glory as me. And so I've started looking at everything through that lens. Is what I'm doing, is this thing that I'm engaging in contributing to a life worth living for myself? And I invite you to ask that same question, and sometimes it is. Sometimes watching Netflix all day is totally contributing to my life worth living, and I love it and I enjoy it. We're going to the beach, and I'm telling you what, sitting on a beach for a week is gonna be contributing to my life worth living, and it's gonna be contributing to my highest and best ministry, because I'm showing up and I'm engaging in life in rest and rejuvenation and waves. And so it's not that, and even showing up and looking at my memories on Facebook and catching up with people. I've gone to lots of people's pages and private messaged them. All of that is contributing, but scrolling wasn't contributing, and so I'm cutting it out. And so I'm just looking at that through that lens in every single aspect of my life, and I invite you to do the same. Is this contributing to really the life that I believe and I know to be worth living for myself? And the answer is going to be different for all of us. For me, it looks like moving across the country to California. My son goes to boarding school in New Hampshire. It's a very different life from the life that a lot of people would choose, but the reality is that he is beyond happy. And now, in the midst of a global pandemic, when there are so many decisions to be made about school and education for children by parents, I feel insanely blessed that my son goes to a boarding school where they just put them all in the school and locked it down, and now they're going to have a regular year. And so what I know is that life for me is the life that's working, the throw everything in your car and figure it out as you go life. But for some people, that life looks different. My brother and my sister-in-law have 3 children, also in New Hampshire, and she stays home with her kids. She homeschools them. She homeschooled them pre-pandemic. They've never gone to school a day in their lives. And she loves it. She's so happy. She finds curriculum. These kids are engaged. They're brilliant. They're getting great education. They cook, they clean, they do all this stuff. She has a very home life. And she is fulfilling her purpose. And if you were to ask her, are you living a life worth living? She would say, absolutely. And so rather than looking out and deciding to model our lives on somebody else's life, we get to find out what that life worth living looks like to us and model our own life on ourselves. There's a meme on Facebook and Instagram, and it says, "One life, just one. Why aren't we running like we are on fire towards our wildest dreams? Why do we ever stop ourselves? What do we have to lose?" It's funny because I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and so in ministerial school, the constant feedback that I continue to get is allow yourself to make more mistakes, which, allow yourself to make more mistakes, because I like to show up polished. I like to show up not vulnerable. I like to know what I'm going to say. I like to have my PowerPoint looking fresh and tight. This last time I upped the ante. I made a movie. I like for it all to look good. I like for my classmates to go, ooh, whenever I present something. And I like that in my life as well. I would like for you to go, ooh, you're so brave. yeah, that feels good. But the reality is that if I'm gonna live on fire for my wildest dreams, and if I'm gonna go run after them and catch them and just live full out all the time, I'm gonna make some mistakes. I'm not always gonna be able to show up perfect. I'm gonna have to be maybe a little bit vulnerable, maybe. And we're so interested in not making mistakes in ourselves, but what happens when a friend makes a mistake? We forgive them. It's okay, I love you anyways. And so we get to say that to ourselves, I love you anyways. It's okay. You were running like you were on fire towards your wildest dream, and you made a mistake. It's okay. Your dream's still there. You're still running towards it. And we get to say that to ourselves every day. No matter what happens when we make a mistake, make it right. Do what you got to do to get back in integrity. But then keep running. Keep running towards your dreams. All the time, constantly, every moment. Even if what running looks like in that moment is rest and relaxation and play and fun. I figured you would like that, April. Because sometimes that's what running on fire towards our wildest dreams looks like, is it looks like rest and rejuvenation. And that's definitely what I'm going to be doing this week before I start studying for the 10 exams that I have to take before they will license me as a minister. I'm glad somebody else can say yay to that. Sometimes what a life on fire looks like is more play and more fun. And I don't want this running on fire towards your dreams, this make your life worth living every single moment. I don't want that to be confused with you must have a successful life. Because success, first of all, we have this idea, this sort of meta definition of what success looks like. And the reality is that that idea of success, the money and the car and the houses and the jet, whatever it looks like, this idea of success isn't necessarily what a life worth living for each of us is. And so I invite you not to focus on creating a successful life, but rather focus on creating a meaningful life. Howard Thurman says, don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and go do it. Because what the world needs is more people who have come alive. And so as you're running towards your dreams, don't aim at success. The more you aim at it and make it a target, the more you are going to miss it. For success, like happiness, cannot be pursued, it must ensue. And it only does so as the unattended side effect of one's personal dedication to a cause greater than oneself. So find your cause, find your purpose, and when you're running towards it, all of a sudden you're going to be successful. And in the meantime, you're going to have this meaningful life, this life worth living. That quote, by the way, was by Viktor Frankl, who's the psychologist who was in concentration camps. And when he got out of the concentration camps, he became an incredibly successful psychologist. But that's not what he was running towards. What he was running towards was creating a meaningful life, and creating a meaningful life out of a lot of heartache. A lot of heartache. And that's what he did. And so as you're looking at what does this life worth living mean? What does it look like? How am I showing up to it in every moment? Don't run towards success, but instead allow yourself to step back and fully embody who you are and what that worth is. Ernest Holmes. This spirit is happy, whole, free, filled with joy, eternal in its existence, and can provide you with everlasting expansion. All your highest hopes and dreams have come from it. The echo of its being is in your intellect. The voice of its unspoken word is in your minds. The feeling of its light and life is in your heart. The emotion of its imagination is in your soul. So just breathe that in with me. This spirit that is living in you, as you, through you, that spirit that Science of Mind can get you to as me, that spirit is happy, whole, free, filled with joy, eternal in its existence, and provides you with everlasting expansion. And so it's from that place that is at the very center of who you are. That place is where you live your life full out from. It's where you live your life and you show up every single day doing it, whatever it is that you do best. Maybe it's raising your children. Maybe it's moving across the country. Maybe it's working in the office. Maybe it's hiking. Maybe it's just being. Maybe it's calling friends. Whatever it is, you show up, and you show up from that place of spirit that is happy, whole, free, filled with joy, and eternal in its existence. Because that place is the place that exists within each and every one of us all the time. And when we are living from that place, that is a life worth living. That is the life that we are creating, and that is the life that is available to us regardless of what is going on in the world, regardless of who said what about what, regardless of what our politicians are doing, regardless of drama, all of it. That life worth living, that spirit that exists within us is available all the time. And so we get to live from that place and show up from that place. And when we do that, we are creating a life worth living. Thank you.